It's a new week, a new list of books. The question is, did you buy or did you pass on this list? Stay tuned. Hey, how's it going? I'm Mikey, and this is Comics by the Cover. If you're new to the channel, I first want to say thank you. If you're returning to the channel, thank you. You're super awesome. You're the best. I appreciate you greatly. Again, if you are new to this channel, this is a weekly video that I put out. It's where we look at ComicTom's top 10 list that is based on the Key Collector's Trending 20, and we ask ourselves, are these books that we might be interested in, books that we want to buy, or are these books that we are looking to pass on? Occasionally we do get some books that come in split, and I do believe that there are some on this list. But again, if you're not familiar with the process, the way it happens is every week Key Collector puts out the Trending 20 to subscribers on Thursday, which I am. I then look at that list, and then on Friday, once the list goes live to everyone, I then post it to my Instagram, the first 10 books of the list, and I ask myself, so my followers, is these books that you're interested in to buy, or are these books that you're looking to pass on? Conduct the first poll on that Friday, and then the next poll gets conducted the next day with the other 10 books. I will say this is the first time I almost got all 10 books right the first time when I selected them. That aside, anyways, so he puts out the list, then ComicTom then puts together his video. He puts that out over the weekend based on that Trending 20 list. I then take the books that polled and those ones that were correlating to the top 10, and then put together this video. Again, we look a little deeper. We ask ourselves, are these books that we want to buy? Are these books that we're going to pass on? And then we look to see if there's any additional opportunity that can be found within this list for future books. Because, again, we may have missed this train, but there's always another one right around the corner. So with that said, we're going to get this list started. Coming in at number 10, we had Silk, number 1. This is the 1 in 25 Rose Besh variant. This book polled a 5644 buy, so people are interested in this book. Again, if you remember back in February 20th, as he mentioned, the Spider-Woman number 9 polled. That polled also a 5743 buy, so very similar in interest there. I was wrong. I thought this book was going to drop in price, and it's done nothing but gone up, this one. So I have no doubt that this other 1 in 25 Rose Besh variant will probably do the same, because I think it's a better cover personally. Of course, in the video, he did mention that there are some exclusive variants that are coming out. I usually grab these covers personally through like Comic Mint or Frankie's Comics. If you're not familiar with them, I'll put the link down below so you can see those. I think they're the real key here, though, isn't so much the artist, but I also think it's the ratio that's playing a big factor into these books. But if you are interested in wanting to pick up any of these Rose Besh books, at the time of this recording, Comic Mint and Frankie's had their these books available for you. The Comic Mint covers, of course, were these ones, and the Frankie's Comics covers were these ones right here. I also noticed on the previews, you know, there is a book that's more widely coming available. The Miles Morales Spider-Man 26 hit stores on June 16th, so that's a book that you may be able to pick up for you as well. Another little side note, unrelated to this cover, but I noticed that Silk's first appearance also polled on this list. This polled is at 8416, so that might be some interest for Silk fans, and that may have had some potential spur to this book as well. So coming in at number 9, we had All New Wolverine number 1. This book polled a 6931 buy. This book was trending because it was attributed to the upcoming X-Men book and that release coming out. I don't know if that's the case. Part of me kind of feels like, if you recall, around early April, after DMX's passing, the hip-hop variant version of this book polled, or it trended as well, and that book pulled at a 5446 buy. And it could be a potential residual effect from that book, because I did notice that the sales trends in April were kind of gradually going up on this book, and it didn't start until April, so maybe it has some correspondence to that as well. This is also another Wolverine type character, so that might be another reason why this book could be potentially polling, because as you remember, Dakin had polled not too long ago. There were some Wolverine keys that polled recently. We also saw Alpha Flight 33 back in March. That book hit the trending list as well, for the first appearance of Lady Deathstrike. And then so you are seeing some of these Wolverine keys really or Wolverine type characters polling or trending recently, so that might be the reason why as well. With that said, regarding this book, and Laura Kinney, maybe start to look at NYX number 3 for the first appearance of Laura Kinney. to see if that book's going to probably have some movement in the upcoming months, as well as All New Wolverine #2 for the first appearance of Scout, aka Honey Badger, or Gabby Kinney, and then of course her sisters also appear in that book. So Gabby, Bologna, and Zelda were all appeared in that book as well. So that might be a book of interest that may be coming up as well. Going on to number 8 on the list, we have the Marvels #1. This book pulled a 50-50 split. Gotta love those, right? They mostly discuss this book for the artist stuff on the book on this. I think part of the reason why this book had trended outside of the ratio variant is that it is some first appearances in this book. There's a Zarala, who was a Wakandan character, very brief in the issue. Threadneedle, who makes an appearance at the very end of the book, so last page appearance, and then Kevin Schumer, who kind of dominates the most in this book. If you're not familiar with Kevin Schumer, it's this guy right here, and he's kind of like a superhero tour guide, I guess the best way to describe him. Like, he loads people up on his little business, repurposed ship from the Fantastic Four, and he just takes people to superhero scenes, and then I guess he gets money from that way. But he does appear in a flash forward in the book, so he might have some more key notes to him that may be coming up as well. I would say if you missed out on this variant, you definitely probably want to go and grab the A cover. Coming in at number 7, we had Nottingham #1. This was the second print. This is going to be a recurring thing, I feel like, but I'll go on that a little bit later. But this book pulled a 50-50 split, which was surprising a little bit. Maybe not really. But this was a hot series, of course. They did mention some distribution concerns with this book. The other thing is this book's other iterations of this book did appear on the trending list as well. Issue 1 pulled at one time, or hit the list, and that pulled at a 48.52 pass. So that's kind of the same thing. Might be some growing interest there. And then issue 2 had pulled a while back too at a 31.69 as a pass. I will say, if you are interested in this series and you want to pick it up, you mentioned the limitations on here. The first thing to bring up is you do have the option to get Nottingham #1 third print, which may also be a book of interest. At the time of this recording, they did still have some available on the Mad Cave Studios website, which you could purchase them directly. Or if you're just interested in wanting to read the book, you can do so through Comixology. If you are interested in wanting to purchase these through Mad Cave, I'll put their link down below. So you can do that, but they did have some of the remaining of the series that you could potentially pick up if you are wanting to grab these books directly. Coming in at number 6, not too much to say about this. This book pulled Once Our Land pulled at a 27.76 pass. It hit a new stage in production. They kind of went into detail in the book, and it kind of sounded interesting to me. Again, but I don't think it's really my jam of a book personally. So I definitely fall in the pass zone on this book. I don't really have any considerations for the books. This is just another situation where one of those random independent titles hits the list and then goes nowhere. Probably. I don't know. Maybe it will go somewhere, but usually they don't go anywhere, especially if they pull this low. Coming in at number 5, we have Berserker #1, the third print foil. Again, some issues here with the production and print run. This book pulled a 52.48 buy, so people are still interested in these Berserker ladder prints. Again, between Berserker, The Last Ronin, Nottingham, we're still seeing a lot of these ladder print runs hitting the list, especially for these independent titles. So they do have a lot of interest in these books, but again, Berserker did pull previously. The #1 pulled at a 57.43, and then the #1 second print pulled at a 57.43 as well. So both those were buys. So there's still some interest, of course, in this book. I will say it's kind of waning on the print run, so I don't think that fourth print's going to hit too hard for the list. That one might not make the cut this time. Coming in at number 4, there was Uncanny X-Men 161. This book pulled an 86.14 buy, so this is a book that people are interested in. This introduced the origin of Magneto. They kind of went into some deeper detail on this issue. I can't remember reading this issue offhand. I know I read a lot of these books really early in my life, so I don't remember all of them. But you are, of course, starting to see some trends in X-Men keys starting to hit the list, so I expect that to continue. We discussed some of the other books that were trending in the video. Or they discussed some other books that were trending in the video, and those were X-Men 212 for the first Wolverine battle against Sabretooth. That pulled a 63.37 for reference as a buy. There was also issue number 256 for the first appearance of Quanen's likeness, Psylocke. However, I don't know. This is kind of a weird... I don't know how to classify this book. It's technically the first appearance of Psylocke in my mind, because this is when we first see her in this form. And as we know, there's a lot of characters kind of fall in these weird categories of, okay, well, where do you count their first appearance and in what form do you want to count their first appearance? So I can see why this book was trending on here as well. I think when you want to look at maybe some of these other books for actually, you know what, this will be a good time to go ahead and knock out that cover price comparisons here, and let's look at some of those 90s X-Men characters that we saw a lot of. I think those are the ones that are going to be the most popular. As you remember, a while back, Uncanny X-Men 282 hit the list for the first appearance of Bishop. That's how this book is doing right now. I think we also have the Uncanny X-Men number 244 for Jubilee. Here's how she's trending right now. We had Uncanny X-Men 266 for the first appearance of Gambit, a little bit pricier option for you. This one was surprising. I didn't expect this to be as cheap as it was, but we had Uncanny X-Men number 130 for the first appearance of Dazzler. Of course, this book is super hot right now. Uncanny X-Men 129, first appearance of Kitty Pryde and Emma Frost. I don't know why 129 kind of wins out. I guess there are a lot of fans of Kitty Pryde and Emma Frost, and that must be why that book just trends so popular. You know, I know she was a pretty popular character. I know everybody loves Emma Frost. Well, at least I love Emma Frost. But we also had X Factor number 23. No, I'm going to X Factor 24 for the first appearance of Archangel. Then Longshot's first appearance was in Longshot number 1. So that book was doing well. I think that could be a good option for you. X-Men 96 for the first appearance of Maura McTaggart. This one was kind of a shock for me, I would say. Then for poops and giggles, I also went ahead and looked at Alpha Flight number 1 since we talked about it last week because it had multiple first appearances, and that's how that book is doing. For me, I think the personal pick of this list would definitely be the X-Men 96 for the first appearance of Maura McTaggart. I think this book seems pretty cheap comparatively. I think with her now being established as a mutant, this gives Marvel a great opportunity to do something completely different with the character that Fox didn't have the opportunity to do. Plus, it's a nice Bronze Age book. It can be had for typically, around that $100 range. So, and again, the second backup would probably be that first appearance of Dazzler in X-Men number 130. You're going to get that cover appearance. You're going to get that, again, I think that pit Bronze Age as well. It might be early copper. No, that's Bronze, I think. Bronze Age book as well, so that would be my second backup choice for my cover price review pick of this week. Coming in at number 3, we have Black Widow number 6. This book pulled a 60-40 buy. So this appeared because it's the first appearance of Lucy Wynn, who is a protege to Natasha. I tried to find this book elsewhere, but surprisingly, this book sold out pretty fast in shops and online as well. So it looks like eBay was the only option. I don't know how I feel about this book yet. I feel like it's probably going to take a dip, but I felt that way about Star at one time, but she's still actually trending pretty well. Again, that's a character who you might want to revisit if you look at some of these appearances that may come back up again. Outside of that, we do want to revisit some of your Black Widow keys for the upcoming movie release, which is in July. If you look at my video back from April 13th, it was a number 8 spot we'll be reviewed for Taskmaster. We kind of dug deeper into some of these Black Widow keys if you're interested and wanted to look at those. Coming in at number 2, we have Paper Girls number 1. This will pulled a 60-40 buy. This, of course, the casting is underway, so that's what kind of got this book trending on the list. I haven't read this book, but it actually sounds way more interesting than what I thought it would. I bought this book because this book was talked about a lot over the past year, maybe early last year, I think. So I went ahead and picked it up. I don't have any considerations with this. This is just another independent title that's always interestingly hit the lanes. The one thing I would say, I guess you could kind of compare it to, you might see Lumberjanes come back around on the list soon if you haven't had the opportunity to pick up that book as well. And finally, coming in at number 1, there was Something Is Killing the Children number 1. This pulled a 78-22 buy. No real big surprise here. Production rooms are starting to build around this book. If you haven't bought into the series in this past year, that's surprising because you must have been living under a rock, because I think this book is on every person's lips that I've talked to or watched videos on. They mentioned the 8th print, Something Is Killing the Children, as well. I think this is the first time that this book had the acronym listed on the top of the book. So that might be some interest for people, even though it has more prints than the local comic shop day issue. That might be something that some people might say, it has that first acronym on there and the title update, and that might be something they want to pick up, even though I don't think that would be a long-term thing. I think it's probably just going to be on this one issue. Some things to consider for this book is, of course, Something Killing the Children number 16 is kind of Gives you a nice little origin start point for the series if you haven't started reading it and you want to start reading it. That's supposed to be a good starting point right here. Also on August 14th, 2021, the Free Comic Book Day House of Slaughter is going to be hitting there, so you might want to try to make sure you try to secure one of those with your local comic shop. And then finally, James Tynion has a new series as well coming out on June 1st, which is The Nice House on the Lake. So that might be a book of interest as well. So with that said, as always, that's the list. Not much to say, really quick video. And bye!